Welcome everyone to the Real Level Up, Real Talk that takes you higher. Oh, okay, that's Darth Vader. When you mentioned it, yeah, I didn't know what you was talking about, but I see that you got your Darth Vader cup. So, Miss Kelli Hawkins, how are you doing today?
I am good. I'm really enjoying this preseason football. What about you?
Doing it right there, but I'm representing Big Three basketball. So yeah, went to a couple of those games, so representing that. But I have been checking out pre-game, preseason, checking out different teams. My team looks pretty good. We're gonna see. I know you looking at your dirty birds to see what they're gonna do. But ladies and gentlemen, we got a guest that hasn't been on for a while. An illustrator, publisher. So he's doing his thing. So let's bring him on, ladies and gentlemen. Just simply known as Cam. There he is.
What's going on?
Welcome,
How y'all doing?
welcome. Feels good to have a brother on the platform.
Represent for the brothers.
I find myself, Cam, I find myself sometimes outnumbered. Not that I don't mind, but it's just nice to segue to have myself as the host, Kelli as the co-host, and then you being our guest today. So now it's 2-1 for this evening. So I feel
I got you.
That's all right. No, it's still 3-2.
You know what? We got Grace and Angee in the background, so we already know. So that's what 3-2. See, can't win. Even when I win, I don't win. So how you doing this evening? How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, man. A lot going on as always, but I'm doing good. I'm blessed.
I heard you've been very, very busy way since the last time we saw you. So I guess we got a lot of things to talk about. You can catch us up on what you're doing. And we're going to go back to your backstory because there's probably people in the audience that's seeing you for the first time. So Kelli, want you to just jump in because I know you looked at the bio, which you said was very impressive.
It is. It is. The one thing that I do want to say is that I am so impressed with your entire website. During the pre-show, we were talking about Jade, the moderator. And I know that we're jumping into this really quick, but please tell us what the series Jade, the moderator is about and who wrote it.
So Jay the moderator it's about my daughter. My wife is also a writer, and I'm an illustrator, and we just came together on this project. This is actually the second installment of our collaboration that we've done. Our first book was called Whose Curls Are Those, and it was dedicated to her. Growing up, little black girl in Florida, because I want to say we're not the minority, but there's a lot less of us. So I just wanted her to be able to embrace who she is, and just be able for her to be embrace who she is, and her hair texture and everything. And so we went on and created the series, which made the moderator with two-part story of her just getting into situations, just being able to solve situations amongst people that have things going on. There's kids getting into it, and she just tries to come in and moderate it and get them to see the bright side of things and get them to come together and be some positive inspiration to the other kids or whatnot.
No, that's a very important point, Cam, because we see how, even though when you was back on those back was 5 years, fast forward 5 years, a lot of things have changed within the culture. And when I say culture, I'm speaking about not just African American, I'm just culture in general, how certain parts of the culture are viewed, how they're valued, and that's an important thing. And you're using your daughter to say, look, you're just as good, you're just as valuable, and we need our kids to understand that, because we see in other areas where a lot of times, either inadvertently, people on agendas and stuff try to move the narrative to some place that it doesn't need to be. So kudos to you and your wife for doing it, because I know you did it for your daughter, but obviously something that's being shared within the community, bringing that, and those are things that we need. And it's not pushing our agenda before anybody else's. It's just giving pride to who we are.
Yes.
We're the fabric of this country. Even though folks
Absolutely.
don't admit it, our heritage is weaved all through this country. So we need to acknowledge that. And in certain places, it's not. So it's kudos to you and your wife for saying, you know what? We're going to make some noise over here because we want to be heard as well. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, we see Grace already chiming in. Thank you for joining us on another dynamic show. So you see what I'm saying, Cam? Even when you can't see them, they still into the platform. What I want to do real quick, Kelli, before you kind of dig into his bio, you know we got to kick off the show with a scripture. I always do this. This is something that the Holy Spirit gives me to share. So I'm going to 1 Peter, 4th chapter, 10th verse, because we know during this month we're dealing with creative people, creative folks. So you fit right into what we're doing, and this is what it reads. Each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace in various forms. So I think that speaks to exactly what we're talking about today. And let you see the sign? Hit that share button, folks. Hit that share and like button. We want Cam to be broadcast on, not just with the Level Up Nation, but to Kelly's followers, my followers, Cam's followers as well. Go ahead, Kelli. Jump right in.
So let's talk more about Cam. Let's talk more about the beginning. Now, again, during the pre-show, I took the time to ask you a couple of questions. So your transition from Augusta to Atlanta, how was that?
Wow. So Augusta, my hometown, it's a small, it's the second largest city in Georgia, but it's also a small town. And I just wanted to do something different. I wanted change. And Atlanta, we all know what Atlanta is. Atlanta is this big city in the South. Everybody wants to come to Atlanta. And, there's so many opportunities and things out there. So I was inspired to go out there because I felt like being in Augusta, I was kind of boxed in. Okay. I wanted to explore. I wanted to be able to feel like I was a creative. I felt like, being an artist, being a person that was in the drawing, everybody, the kids I played with was the basketball, the sports and everything, which was cool. I played basketball for a little bit, but I wanted to draw, you know what I'm saying? And there were moments like, yo, I'm gonna go home and draw. This is what I really wanted.
That's cool.
Yeah.
How was the Atlanta scene once you said, hey, Augusta, nice place, but a little bit small for what you wanted to do? Did you find that Atlanta offered you the opportunity to develop as an illustrator, where the opportunities where, hey, I can do these drawings and get paid, or move in certain circles to kind of build your brand when it came to that? So did you find that Atlanta was accepting of that and you was able to make your mark?
It wasn't at first, because when I went, I was in college. I went to school. At the time, it was called Atlanta College of Art. It's called SCAD now, Savannah Art and Design. They bought them a year after I attended. But it was different because I'm so used to drawing. So when I get to school, everybody's doing the digital thing. Everybody's doing Photoshop, Illustrator, using these platforms. I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah, okay.
And it kind of was discouraging a little bit because I felt like I was behind on times. I felt like, like I can draw. These kids, they're doing all this amazing artwork and stuff. And, I felt like I wasn't up to par or whatnot. So what I did is in between classes, or, when I was out of my classes, I would go into the upperclassmen's classrooms. I would just sit in on session, just watching them do what they did. And my best friend to this day, Ladero Hollingsworth, he went a year ahead of me. And we're dorm roommates or whatnot. and he put me on things. So
Okay.
I was in class with him, and he just inspired me. He got me kind of caught up to things, and I was actually self-taught. I was doing stuff before I even got into those classes. So when I actually started classes,
That's a good way to learn, though. That's a good way.
Yeah, yeah.
You dig into it like that. You probably went in a little deeper because, like you said, you had no knowledge of it. So when you got into it, now let me ask you this: being an illustrator, where you're an artist, where you hand draw, and you have that background now for the digital side, do you find that folks are leaning more towards the digital, or just like cursive writing? We don't teach our kids how to write cursive anymore, but we know it's a skill to be able to sign your name in your own unique way. Do you find that being able to illustrate, that people still go, you know what, digital is cool, but I want to see some hand-drawn illustration because it takes me to that place?
Yeah, absolutely. Even with, see, when I was, again, coming up, Photoshop Illustrator was the thing. Now we're dealing with AI. You know what I mean? Everybody wants to say AI, everybody wants to prompt these different things. And I know that's another subject or whatever, but I say that to say all of that was to go away today. You know what I mean? If the computers and everything was to shut down, can anybody grab a piece of paper and pencil and still be able to illustrate and create some amazing work from scratch like they used to do back in the day or whatnot?
Right.
So it's very essential. It's very important to be able to have those essential skills. You know what I mean? And I do a combination of both, just so I can still practice my original skill. I still draw hand drawn today, and I scan things in, or I use a tablet. I use the iPencil. It took me a minute to get into that because I wanted to still be able to have the feel of a regular pencil versus using the digital joint. It just so happened Apple is who they are, and the feel of it was so good. I had to transition and whatnot, and I realized, technology, it is. Yeah.
Do you find your peers? Sorry, Kelly. Do you find your peers going more so towards the digital, or do you have some people that you vibe or flow with that's still doing the illustration, or is most of your peers moving into the digital side? Just wanted to get your take on that.
Same event because we come from that cloth. We all still do both. We still feel like it's important to have the original hands-on skill. So a lot of the things that I do, like I said, I do both. I do the digital stuff, but I gotta use the pencil. You know what I mean? So, we all feel the same way when it comes to that.
Okay, go ahead, Kelly. I know you had something that you wanted to chime in with.
Yes, of course. So I mean, we've gone from Augusta to Atlanta, but while you were in Augusta, you were a child.
Yeah.
Where did the artist in you develop? When did that become a thing for you?
So it's always been a thing. When I realized this is what I wanted to do, I was 8 years old, because I would always draw. I was always drawing. My brothers would always laugh at my drawings because they thought they were funny looking and whatnot. But it was when I turned 10 or 11, they realized, like, my little bro taking this serious. Like, these drawings are looking, these drawings is tough. And that kind of encouraged me because now I felt like I got their attention. And my parents were always very encouraging with it. And I realized, like, when I was 12, I realized, like, my father knew how to draw. And I was working on something, and he was like, let me see that. What are you about? You mess up my artwork. What you doing? You know what I mean? And he took it. He was looking at what I was working on, and he started detailing it. And it freaked me out because I never knew that he had the ability to draw too. My father, we get a lot of things from my father. I got a musical background as well too. My brothers took that from my father. So we adopted a lot of things from my father. I was just the one that took it serious and just really wanted to run with it and make it a career.
It's amazing how things flow though from your parents. Sometimes you don't take anything from them, but other times little things here and there you can go, oh, I didn't realize that my pops and my mom could do musically, artistically. It's just something how that works out from time to time. It doesn't happen all the time, but in your case, it did.
Yeah, it tripped me out because again, you know, he's never talked about it as much as he would see me draw and everything. He never said anything, and so he just wanted to show me his skills, and I was I was tripped out. Thought that was cool.
So I
And you know what? That says something very, very important too, Cam, because you thought outside the box. You said something earlier. Everybody wants to be a basketball player. Everybody wants to do what they see emulated, but you took a different route. So now we're talking about you, the artist, and you discovered this at an early age, which, you know, a lot of times around 8, 9, that's when those skills start to peak in our minds, right? So let's talk about your transition from illustrator to writer, and then let's put your wife into this. Like, how did all that happen?
Well, I'm gonna be honest. I'm not a writer. I'm strictly on the illustration side, and the formatting and layout and the whole graphic design aspects of it. That is me all day. But I always have an appreciation for writing, which is what my wife, you know, she went to school. She went to school for PR, but she I think her second degree was journalism or whatnot. But she had great stuff. You know, she was, the things that she showed me that she had wrote when she was in school and everything, I was very impressed with. So I'm like, babe, we need to collaborate. We need to do something.
Okay.
And then, you know, that I felt that would bring us together, you know, and keep it in the family was Jade, which is my daughter. And we, you know, the project came like that. You know, we just kind of sat around, thought about some ideas, and we looked at her, and everything just kind of just fell into place with everything. So she's very inspirational when it comes to that. I appreciate writers so much because, you know, I always had this thing where illustrators, there's a disconnect between the illustrators and writers. We're all trying to get our grounding in this industry. You know what I'm saying? So we need to work together more often than, you know, us working separately, because a lot of the things that are happening as far as like these movies and the development of everything, it's the artists and it's the writers. None of this stuff would be, but somehow we always manage to get the bottom of the stick. You know what I'm saying? Things don't always work out for us or whatever. So we need to work together when it comes to that. You know, even the writers union that had their strike a couple of years ago. What about the artists? You know what I'm saying? We needed to be kind of collaborating, working together on things like that. You know?
Yeah, because technology is good, but the thing about it is we know as creatives, Kelli has written a book, I've written a book as well. Just the act of creating, even illustrating in a book, there's kind of a soul that goes with that technology never touch. Yeah, you got GPT or whatever it's called. You know, I can just go, I write poetry, so I can go on Chat GPT and go, I want to do a poem about grass, and it'll write something. But every time every time I played around with it and read it back or looked at what it came up with, you're exactly right. No soul. And the thing about it, even writing books, audio books are good because sometimes you can't sit and read a physical book, but there's always something to having a book in your hands, and it's the type of book it is that an illustrator, okay, I like fantasy, like J.R. Tolkien, or the books that when I was younger, and to be able to open one of his epic novels, because this man dreamed up a whole entire world in his mind, but when he puts it on paper, the words jump out and you can put yourself in that world. But we had maps, there were illustrations of the different characters, so that made the book even more real. Like, what does a dragon look like? What does a troll look like? And they had the illustration, even the map. Here's one section of the area where these creatures live. So it kind of brings everything out. So there is a definite place for illustration.
And I always say that our job as illustrators is always to complement the writer. You know what I mean? Without us, you know, especially when it comes to children, you gotta wing them in, you know, especially now their attention is so short with things. You got to find a way to get them engaged, you know, speak their language. That's why a lot of times, that's why I you know, I know we're going to get to that later on, but this is why I decided to become and do what I do, is because I feel like the representation, we need to see ourselves in these stories, you know what I mean? And I just wanted to do something that encouraged the young people to read. I wasn't a big reader growing up. I wasn't. I was more into comic books and the pictures, you know what I'm saying? That's what inspired me to draw and everything.
That's what you was drawn to. Let me ask you this. Are there other illustrators? Okay, let me ask this then. You know, on social media, there's a lot of different clubs for different things. IT people have clubs. Poets have clubs. Writers have clubs. Is there any place where illustrators come together to share their craft, like a group that say that, you know, we're sharing our work with each other to kind of encourage, inspire, or if there's things out there, hey, I can turn you on to some projects that are out there that you can work on. Is there anything like that? Or do you find yourself kind of working solo?
Honestly, nowadays, and I need to probably do better with this. I find myself working solo just because of the amount of work that I've acquired over the years. Okay. I've been a part of many different Facebook groups. That's how I got started. Just displaying my work, joining Facebook groups, joining even local groups here in Orlando when I was even in Atlanta. Or Fiverr. Fiverr is another good way to connect with other artists. And you got some overseas that don't really understand. When I say understand the culture, meaning understand what we do as African Americans and our style or whatnot. But you still can connect on there and get with people that do some really amazing things or whatnot. So
that's what I was.
It's just a matter of I always suggest social media. TikTok is a thing today. I'm not on there, but you can get on TikTok and just display your work. People will reach out to you. You'd be surprised how many people are out there just looking at what you're doing, you know, and especially if you do good work or whatnot. People will reach out to you. You know what I'm saying? So
because TikTok is kind of made for that live action illustration type. That's kind of what it's made for. Like you said, a good way to get yourself out there. So wow, man, this dude right here can put it down and stuff. But that's why I wanted to ask that question, because being a brother, you know, certain circles and all, we can go into all different things and talk about that. But the fact that you've been busy, that's not a bad thing. So obviously you're in demand. So your skills and your talent, people notice, we got to get Cam to take on this project because we know the caliber of work. So that's pretty good. To be that busy, to have things constantly going on, because like you said, you kind of moved into wanting to do this as a lifelong thing, and it could be profitable as well to help your family. Now, does your daughter exhibit any of the talents between you and your wife? So in other words, your daughter may have some of the writings skill of your wife and your illustration. If she put those two things and combine them together, she would be dynamite.
Yes, she would. Yes, she would. So, Jaden the Mediator, the second book is about her being in ballet, and that was a thing for her. Time frame. She took on that. I don't know where that came from, but that's her thing. That she embraces the ballet thing. The ballet world, dancing earlier on, but now I'm starting to see the signs of her wanting to illustrate. She wants to draw. She doodles. She carries her little notebook and things, whatnot, and she'll ask me from time to time, "Daddy, what you think it is?" And she's actually really talented. She's good. I'm seeing, you know.
About the seeds have been sown. We got a comment again. See, coming from the back, Grace Hendy. Your books are very attractive and interesting to kids, and that's what makes them curious and want to read these books. So you kind of spoke to that as well, how important the illustration is, because kids can be visual, so they see that picture, it draws them right in. So what you're doing is an important part, especially, we're not even gonna get into that because that's a whole nother section of the educational system where certain things are being kind of pushed out in order for come in. So that's
we got Becca on here too now.
So we got folks chiming in on what you're doing. And this is an important show because I don't think people really notice the illustrator and the amount of talent that goes into it. You can see a drawing, but there's just certain drawings that you can look at. And being as an adult, I read comic books as a young man, but just seeing, okay, like my daughter, she's into anime. So I like anime as well. And especially the adult anime where you can see certain things. Now that's illustration, but it's movement and motion. But you can still give the illustrators kudos because a lot of that stuff is hand, especially Japanese.
Yeah.
Their illustration is phenomenal.
Yes, that was a big influence to my style too. Growing up was the anime art, and you know, like the '90s it was a thing. You had Voltron, you had a bunch of like different cartoon stuff like that, anime based or whatnot, and that was one of the things that influenced my style at that time, or what to why it looks the way that it does today, because I still, you know, that's what I was into, you know, growing up.
No, and they, you know how meticulous and detailed they are. So their illustrations are phenomenal. So if you took a piece of that, I know your stuff is leveled up, as they say. So okay, Kelly, you took it from Augusta. We're gonna be taking a break in a few minutes. You took it from Augusta to Atlanta. Now we're going to move from Atlanta to where you are now in Florida. And when we come back from our break, I would like for you to talk about, okay, did you meet your wife in Atlanta and you guys moved the family? Or how did that work that you're now a Floridian? Well, you still Georgian, but you know.
Yeah. I'm still Georgia. I'm still.
You ain't trying to claim Florida.
I'm GA all day. I'm GA.
I still rep New York, even though I'm in Georgia. I still rep where I'm from. So that's what's up. So ladies and gentlemen, keep your comments coming. Hit that share button. We're about to take a break. And when we come back, Cam is going to share with us the transition from Atlanta to Florida and how that happened and how he met the missus. We'll be right back. Real level up, real talk that takes you higher. We'll be back after the break.
Hello, business owners. This is your fit photographer, Andre Gerard, coming at you with my 2025 campaign. The goal is to promote and empower her enterprise. Yes, the goal is to elevate women of color in business. On March the 1st, we are set to launch this new campaign. And it doesn't matter what your business is, please contact us at www.andregerardphotography.com to book your consultation. Let's make this an amazing year. Follow me on all social media at Andre Gerard, your fit photographer.
And let's have a moment of clarity. There's freedom in your transparency. When you speak, you release, that's therapy. It's my decision to listen and do it carefully. Wanna live carefree? Well, it's gonna start. When secrets are kept, families are torn apart. I wanna do my part to help heal your heart. Shed some light on your life when your days are dark. Help ignite a spark that'll bring change. Be your shelter from the rain, assist with.
parties. It's your boy Tony D on the radio. You know what time it is. Let's go.
Hello, everyone. This is Pat Nash of Pat Nash Talks, where we have the conversations that create real relationships. I'm here every single Sunday, 8 p.m. Central Time, 9 p.m. Eastern, and you can find us right here on Level Up Nation. See you then.
And gentlemen, we are back. The real level up, real talk that takes you higher. Ordinary people with extraordinary stories. And we got an extraordinary person in here tonight. Cam, graphic design, illustrator, publishing. Brother wears a whole lot of different hats and doing his thing. And Kelly's saying, hey, everybody, hit that share button and share the nuggets that this brother's dropping. So, Kelly, I'm going to let you take over so you can get him from Atlanta, GA to Florida.
So before we continue with our conversation with Mr. Cam here, let's go ahead and recognize the people who are in the comment section. So, Cam, I just want you to know you have a fan in the comment section. Becca says illustrators bring our words to life. So we need illustrators, and she definitely hit that on the money. She also said his illustrations are amazing. You know, while we were talking earlier, we were actually popping up some of your illustrations, and I have to say that I am also a fan. Like, you know, your work is amazing. Now, on the side of illustration, do you do logos? What other types of art do you do besides your book illustrations?
So yeah, you hit it right on the head. I do illustration. I do logo design as well too. I'm stationary. So when I went to Atlanta for school, I actually got a degree in graphic design, and so that's why I learned the production assistants. Learned a production assistant. I'm sorry, my mind is.
No, it's fine. You do so much. How you gonna remember all of it?
Yeah. I basically learned being in college. I learned the graphic design portion of what I do as far as like the illustration. As far as the logo design and stationery, promo, advertisement, all that marketing. I did all that stuff while I was there and being in college.
Okay.
Okay.
And I know now, before we get you to Florida, I know that you have some local Atlanta radio ties. Tell us about your WVEE Atlanta ties. Tell us about that.
So I was a big fan V103. If you was in Atlanta, especially in the early 2000s, you already know like that was like a staple. It's a staple in Atlanta to listen to V103. Frank Ski in the morning. You had Wanda, R.I.P. Wanda Smith, who passed away this past year. They had a morning show back then, and I was listening to the show. At that time, I had a part-time job working at a hotel. I was doing that night audit thing and whatnot. So I listened to it, and so I wanted to reach out to them. They were talking about, their marketing and advertising, like I said, what I went to school for. And so I reached out, and I sent Frank Ski some work. I didn't think he was going to hit me back right away, but he eventually hit me back, and he called me personally. Hey, this is Frank Ski, and we like some of your work, and we would like you to come in. So I came by the office, and I was greeted by at that time the producer was Hollywood, and got to talking to Hollywood, and he just kind of took me on his arm. He embraced me and whatnot. They couldn't afford to put me on the payroll at that time, but they had me intern, and I was just doing a lot of different things around the office that was needed. And we were actually going to work on a little cartoon, little animated segment that they're gonna actually get done. But it gave me just exposure, and they gave me the opportunity to work with them and to do a lot of other little things or whatnot. So I'm very appreciative to both of them, all three of them actually. They were great to work with.
Now, see, that was nothing but God, because a lot of your interaction with them, something had to drive them to you, so you gotta definitely thank God for your connection with Frank Ski and Wanda in the morning, because I used to listen to them every morning going to work. They were the staple of Atlanta radio back then. So, still shout out to Frank Ski and Wanda in the morning, V103. Yes. And yeah, rest in peace, Wanda Smith. She did her thing. We do have some more people who jumped into the comments. So, hey, Mary, what's going on?
And she mentioned, and Mary mentioned that Cam did some work for her, for Mike Jeezy. So,
Mary, yes. How you doing, Mary? Yeah.
One of our diamonds, Mary Tuesday, one of our diamonds and things like that. So you get an acknowledgement, and as Kim said, validation. When the Lord blesses you with something, He always provides validation. Well, you know what? Am I doing what I'm supposed to be? When people respond, give you kudos, speak to your work, that's exact. So you know when you supposed to be doing what you're supposed to be doing, because you get the validation.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So now let's take you to Florida.
Yeah. So Florida. So my wife, as I mentioned before, when she finished college, she was in school in Indiana, and then she went to Florida for a Disney program, and she loved it out there. And but as you get older, you're trying to level up, and she moving to Atlanta with a career opportunity brought her to Atlanta, where I was already living and residing at the time. And so we met at a club, actually. We met at a reggae spot, and she approached me. I was taken back because I really was just going for some friends. I was done with the whole club scene and everything, but he really wanted me to go. So we went, I hung out with him, and she approaches me. So I'm already in this mindset. I really don't want to be here, but I see this young lady, and I'm like, yo, she's pretty. She was just want to dance. And, next thing you know, 5-6 songs in, we vibing, and I asked her for her number, and she was like, well, I lost my phone. I was like, what do you mean? We doing all of this, and you telling me you lost your phone? She's like, no, for real. So I said that to say I thought she was trying to curve me, but she really was interested. She was really telling me the truth or whatnot.
Oh, okay.
But I just had this thing where I just felt like, can I really meet somebody that I'm gonna be serious about in the club? So I kept her number, and I didn't call her right away. I called her that Sunday, and then we talked and we hit it off. She's a flight attendant, so she said when she gets back, she wants to connect and everything. So when she got back, we connected, and she stayed at my apartment from that point on. You know what I mean? We became inseparable at that time, and so we met in Atlanta. And fast forward, tired of the Atlanta scene. We get married. I have a daughter. Just wanted to get out of Atlanta. Wanted to do something different. And so she brought up Orlando because that's where she was in the Disney program. She always wanted to go back. So we went to go visit, and I loved it as well too. It was just a breath of fresh air. It was just different, it was just different from what I was dealing with being in that. Yeah, there we go. Baby, yeah, right there. So we moved to Orlando, and that's where, you know, that's the next chapter where the whole children's book illustration kind of comes in.
Okay. Now, Ken.
Because, yeah.
Now that you're in Florida,
Uh-huh.
from Deerfield Beach, which is South Florida, how you dealing with that heat, my brother?
You deal with it. You just deal with it. It's 105, 110 degrees. You just deal with it. This is what it is. Just keep your AC on, and when you're outside,
and Barry's coming back again, just again giving you validation. He did My Cry, which we have aired on the Real Level Up. That, you know, we knew that was your work, my brother. We was like very impressed. I mean, the song itself and with the graphics with the song, it just fit. So
yeah,
that's how
again, it's all about complimenting what the writer does. That's what I'm here for. The illustrator is a movie. It's almost like a movie director. It's the way that you see things. You want to execute the message the way that you see it, and the way you visualize it. You want the world to see how you visualize it.
But the other part too, Cam, is that you lend your work to positive, reinforcing type of projects. We know there's always two sides to everything. We know some people take their talent and use it for things that are not positive, that are pointing to things that are negative, and that's what they do. That's where they are. That's where they're at. So it's a refreshing thing that for you is like, you know what? God gave me this gift, and I'm gonna use this gift to uplift and edify children.
Yeah.
And if I work on adult projects, I'm not just gonna take any project. Okay, obviously you get with the person that you're working with, they'll give you the vibe. If the vibe ain't correct, I know you basically will be like, I appreciate the opportunity, but this is not something I can do. And I know that during your tenure of what you do, there's been times where you have to walk away from certain things. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, usually if I walk away from a project, it has nothing to do with the artwork itself. It's just a business, you know, not seeing eye to eye on business and things like that.
But
like every story, everyone has a story to tell, and I want to provide an opportunity for people to tell their story. So I'll try, you know, even if I don't think it's that great, I notice there's things that I can do to help, you know, make the story interesting, or I can do something that'll bring interest to it or make people gravitate towards it or whatnot. So everybody has a story to tell, and no one should ever be designed.
No. You're right. You're absolutely right. Everybody does have a story to tell, and if they're bold enough to want to put that story forward and want to work with you, I was just going from the sense that you've been doing this, so you have a business sense. Yeah, you're an artist, but you got that business side down as well. Because what do they say? All money's not good money.
Yeah, for sure.
So Grace has a question. She says, other than Mike Jeezy, have any other artists approached you to do any illustration for them?
Recording artists, yes. Earlier on, and this is just a lot of local artists have acting to do. I've done several album covers, mixtapes, you know, especially early 2000s. That was the era or whatnot. So a lot of tape. In fact, that's how I used to make my extra money, was just doing, you know, mixtapes for clients and upcoming rappers and things like that. Scotty ATL, I actually did his first mixtape cover when he was starting out.
Oh, okay.
And I remember he came. I negotiated that with my big bro, Sean Blue. Shout out to Sean Blue. He connected us or whatnot, and I actually met him in the parking lot right across the street. And what mall is that? Dunwoody in Atlanta. I forgot the name. Perimeter Mall. Perimeter Mall. I met him in the parking lot of Perimeter Mall, and we did a photo shoot. And I remember him looking at me crazy, like, "What are you gonna do with these pictures?" Because we had a camera phone at the time. I was just so ill with the graphic design stuff. I knew how to color correct and all these different things. It wouldn't even matter. So when I showed him the work, when it was done, he was impressed. He was just like, "No, this is," you know, he was really impressed with the way things turned out, because he didn't expect
Right.
do a photo shoot, and you know what I mean. But that's what it is. Things that you do as a graphic artist, illustrator, you find ways to communicate visually a problem, that's given to you. So
And that's
I gotta find a mixtape. I'm glad. Dang, that was a good question.
But see, that's the other part, because this month we're doing like basically creatives, and we talked about in one of our other shows how creative people, their minds just work differently. Their minds, how they visualize things, the logic of what they see and how they process things is just different. Not better, just different. And that allows them to, whether it's poetry, whether it's being a writer, all those different things in creative. And sometimes people don't get it because we kind of move different than regular. And sometimes they just don't. The ones that get it, but the ones that don't, to them, we're weird.
Yeah.
We're eccentric.
Yes, we are. Yes, for sure.
Becca is reaching out.
I see that.
Awesome. She has her grandsons are part of a Christian hip hop group, and I guess you pronounce it what, Swayze? I guess that's how you pronounce the name. And they said it's great to know that you create music covers, because you never know, they might be coming out with something. So Becca might be reaching out to you for possible. So see, being on the real level up, we trying to get you some work.
Making those connections.
Yeah, I appreciate the connections for sure.
Trying to get you that work,
Yes, sir.
So let's see.
So let me ask you a question.
Yeah, Kelli.
Does your daughter know how popular she is?
Yes, she does. She's 15 now, going on 25. Wow. Nah, I'm just kidding. She's not. She's a good kid. She's good. And again, we instilled some things in her earlier on, to where she's very confident in herself, and she presents herself in such a way that I'm proud of and the way she's growing up. She's a great kid. And she's very much aware of who she is and her background, and that's all we ever want her, is to be aware of who she is and not to settle for anything. You know what I mean? In all aspects of life, So,
but that's important that we raise our children, whether they're male or female children, to have self-worth, to know their value, because in this world, you know how it is, Cam, Kelli. In this world, folks that can't wait through social media or talking or whatever, want to see, especially when they're not doing well. And especially you got to be mentally strong right now, because you see all around us people dealing with depression and mental issues and self-esteem, especially for the girls with their self-esteem. So you need to put that strength in them. They need that strength to deal with what's going on there. Yeah, mom and dad is going to be there for you whenever you need, but there's sometimes mom and dad's not going to be there, and you got to be able to stand on your own, especially when that temptation and all those worldly things start hitting you though. So that's important that you've sown those seeds early. So sometimes you don't see it, but they don't remember. So that's what's up.
Yeah.
So which market is more busy for you? Was it more busy in Atlanta, or is it more busy for you there in Orlando?
Great question. So it's different chapters. Atlanta is more or less my chapter of when I was kind of developing my sharpening my skills and networking and getting to know people, and also create the clothing line. I had created the clothing line Soul Simplicity while I was in Atlanta.
Okay.
And I took that with me to Orlando, but because my connection and everything was in Atlanta, at that time it was just kind of hard to communicate, going back and forth and everything. So I was doing the children's book on the side at that time, and it just blew up. It just became more of my focus. I just felt like I was doing more, like I felt more like I was, what's the word? I felt like I was being more of a servant for what God had wanted me to do with other people. I felt like I was working on other people and allowing their visions and things to come to fruition and whatnot. It just felt good working on the children's book side, because I just seen, once the books were done, children getting excited about the books, the clients happy that they got this amazing project that they had for years. I would get clients that send me stories on napkins. You know what I'm saying? Just different things. They had stories that they've had for years in boxes or whatnot. And, they present it to me, and then, we work things out. I helped them illustrate it and format it and lay out. So that process from start to finish became something I really love more than doing just the apparel.
That's a beautiful thing, because here they are, they got all this stuff, really don't know what to do with it. Then they meet you bring your ideas, and I know it's amazing when you see it, Cam, from their ideas, a box full of papers to go to an actual book. And we see that Angee's chiming in, and you say, how do you publish your work, or how does the publishing aspect of what you do, how does that work?
So there are a lot of great tools that people can tap into. And I set things up to where once, a client decides to ever stop working with me, they can still continue on and do other things. If they want to work with other artists in the future, cool. There are two platforms that I mainly work with, which is called KDP Amazon, and the other one is called Ingram Spark. Now, clients can set up an account there. They're free to set up. It's an amazing thing. They're free to set up. It's print on demand. So anytime someone purchases a book, once the book is uploaded, and anytime somebody purchases a book, they automatically print it for you and they ship it to the client. You just collect the royalties, which I'm sure everybody wants to be able to collect money, right? So
absolutely,
all you worry about is getting your content up there, and they pretty much do the rest. Even if you want to sell physical copies of your book, have to work out minimums. You know what I'm saying? This is just a perfect way, an efficient way to self-publish without having to crash out on a whole bunch of money. You know what I mean? And I assist people in that process. A lot of my clients are new and up and coming writers, or people that don't know the process. They just got content that they want to put out, or like, again, they had stories that their grandparents wrote and they never got it published, and they wanted to make sure that they fulfill their family's dream to actually getting a book published. It's a great way to do that. And even if you decide to want to one day get with a major publisher, you still can. And you have the advantage because you know exactly what it is that you want with the book. You know what I mean? You got a little bit of knowledge. You can do more of a partnership versus, the publisher taking all of your all of your percentage. You know what I'm saying? So
I published my first 3 books through Amazon, and that's the thing where they do a good job of, you send them all the information, they approve it, and you get your book. But again, you get your cut, but Amazon gonna take theirs as well. And this is like you said, with the 2 ones that you mentioned, the author keeps the majority because that's your intellectual baby that you put into. So you want to reap that and not have, you understand, you're doing this, but what you're charging me to do that is kind of taken away from what I could be making. So
right. And they, they both do 70, it's 60-40. Right. So Amazon, KDP Amazon, Ingram Spark, you'll get 40, you'll get 60%, they'll get 40% of what it is. But you got to understand, they're doing your distribution.
Right, they're doing a lot of
Amazon alone to have an ISBN number on their platform is a big deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You didn't put no money out. You didn't put no money out. You know what I'm saying? And you're able to utilize their platform by the name Amazon. You know what I mean? Right. So I tell my clients a lot. They're like, well, 60% is a lot. Well, 80% is a lot too. You know what I mean? If you went to a publisher and they're saying we want 80% of your IP, we'll give you 20% because we're doing all the work. Now, granted, they have the contacts, granted, they have the network and all these different things, but at the end of the day, you work so hard for having your intellectual property.
Oh yeah.
Why would you want to
And we see Becca uses InterSpark for the things that she's doing, so she's kind of giving a stamp of approval on that particular platform, etc. So we're seeing basically speaking to that and saying, hey, there's different routes that you can go through as well.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
So that's what we took the creators out there. My thing is this, I want to put out there for you, because we're coming to, we still got a few more minutes to kind of speak. What I want you to do real quick, not your information. Before we close the show, we'll get all your information, how folks can contact you for your services. But I want you to speak to those young people who, like you were young. You said you started kind of drawing and stuff, 7 to 8 years old, is something that you knew that you could do. I want you to speak to those young people out there that kind of doodling around, but noticing that there's something special about what they're doing, and just speak to them to see that if they continue doing that, what it can grow into. So,
God, I would tell a young person, and I talk to kids all the time, to keep going. Not only just the drawing aspects, but learn the business, learn the tools that's around you, learn everything, whatever it is that you're doing, learn everything that's around it, because the things around it is what's going to make you successful. Everybody, I mean, I'm not saying everybody can draw, but there's so many different creatives and talented people that you just being on top of knowing the next platform can give you an advantage than the other person. You know what I mean? So just do your research. I always tell young people, do your research. Don't think that just because you're drawing or you being creative, that's it. You gotta learn the business aspects of it. And even before I did this, I had to learn that I could make money off of it, that I could be successful. I had to have proof of concept. You got to have proof of concept before you can start doing anything, because people buy these businesses and do all these different things, but you don't know if it's guaranteed to make money or not. So you really got to have proof of concept. So just definitely do your research, keep grinding, learn on your own, do everything that you can, and learn everything about a subject or whatever it is that you love to do. Learn everything, or learn all the ins and outs about it, because with the way technology is, you can do everything yourself. That's why Hollywood is struggling right now.
Exactly.
And the other
I don't even go to YouTube for the news anymore. I don't even go watch the news anymore. I go to YouTube to watch the news, because there are young kids that got the same technology. They come on there quicker than the news station would.
It is amazing.
They figure that out on their own. You know what I mean? So,
and he spoke to the young people, but I'm speaking to the adults who are watching and listening to the show. If you see your child is gravitating, whether it's writing, illustrating, whatever particular gift or talent is, encourage it. It's really important that parents encourage their kids, because a lot of times a kid will exhibit a certain talent and the parent will stifle it. Oh, you don't need to be doing that. You need to be doing this. No, encourage, don't push, because if it's something that they want to do, they'll do it naturally. But if you encourage, give them inspiration and stuff, they can take it to a whole nother level. Ladies and gentlemen, we are basically at the end of our show, but we have another question.
But I have one more question though.
We're gonna keep rolling it. We're gonna keep rolling through. She says, how do you protect your intellectual property as an author and an illustrator? Good question, Angee.
How do you protect your intellectual property as an illustrator? So, self-publishing, believe it or not, it's the law, it's common law that self-publishing is the protection. If you self-publish, you go through all the necessary steps to get it self-published. That is the protection. Now, you can copyright your book. You can do all different things. If you're shopping it around for a publisher or an illustrator, then it might be best to copyright it, because your book is going to be in so many different hands, along with getting a what's it called, a
ISBN.
No, it's a protection of where
Trademark?
they can't disclose your information or your content to anybody else. I forgot what it's called. Anyway, it'll come back to me. But
well, we're gonna give your contact information so they can reach out to you.
All right.
That time, you'll remember.
Wouldn't it be like an NDA, like a non-disclosure?
NDA, yes. NDA, yes. NDA, that's it.
Look at Kelli. Kelli got that dome knowledge.
Yeah. NDAs are cool.
But you know what? but you know, you said something extremely important, Cam. You know, you do have to protect yourself, period. You know, while you're out shopping your works, a lot of people are putting their hands on it. They're also reading it.
Yeah,
No,
absolutely.
Kelly, I've seen it. There's different platforms where I post poetry because this is a platform where the poets put their poems out there. And because they're not protected, their poems will pop up on other platforms and they have no recourse because their stuff is not protected. So, you know, when you put your heart into something, people will come and snatch it and use it for their own. You know, there's a lot of groups that kind of try to police that. But with so many different groups and how the internet or how social media is now, it's different. It changes. With every 5 years, technology takes leaps and bounds. So you got to be able to make sure that what you've worked for is protected.
Exactly. So I have a fun question for you, Cam. Food. What's better? Food.
Food?
What's
Oh,
better?
yeah. Yeah,
Food.
we can talk about food. I love me some food. What are you talking about?
Atlanta or Florida?
Oh man, don't do that.
Kelly,
So-
wow.
So
And now the questions are coming fast.
when it comes to soul food, when it comes to our people, our food, I have to say Georgia. I have to say Atlanta. You know.
Oh, no,
When
well,
it
you know,
comes
you
to-
kind of right. You kind of right about that. Because I, you know, did the New York cuisine and all of that. But for the soul food, Atlanta, I found some decent spots.
Yes. When it comes to the Hispanic cuisine and whatnot, Florida got it. Florida got it. You don't think so?
No doubt.
Y'all heard it.
And also, we've had some folks chiming in, and Angela Conley's chiming in. She had her rights stolen by Lit Fire Publishing, and she can't even locate where they are. That's how you got to be very careful. And Becca is another thing. Becca's putting it out there. Anybody that's out there, Becca can trademark or register your. That's what she does. And we put it back up as well. So she's a person to connect with. If you do have content and you want to protect it, that's how I was able to. As you can see, Mr. Scribe has got an R behind it because Becca helped me get Mr. Scribe registered. So nobody else, if I see that name, Cam, somewhere else, we going. I know we're not supposed to, but I'm taking them to court.
Oh yeah,
Well, we want to scroll across the screen because we're coming towards the conclusion of this show. Your information, if you could verbalize that, and we'll share it across the screen. If anybody wants to get in contact with you, they've got content, they got a project, whether it's publishing, illustration, graphic arts, or anything of that nature, Cam, please give them your information.
Yes, you can reach me at I'm more active on Instagram. So my Instagram is Instagram.com/Cameron T. Wilson. You can DM me there. I will respond a lot quicker there than I would going to my website. I don't update my website as quite as much as I should. Everything is pretty much updated on IG because that's where everybody is. So definitely reach me there. I know we wrap things up. I just wanted to share a project that I'm working on that I'm really excited about. To share with you guys. So I don't know if you all are familiar with Colette B. Smith. She is the first Black female coach of the NFL for the New York Giants. And so she's currently working on her children's book. It's supposed to be out beginning of September timeframe. And she's super excited about it. Her name is Colette V. Smith. The V is, she will tell you the V, her mother named her Victoria. The V is for Victoria. But she will tell you it's for victory. So she's very, very energetic. She's amazing, and you guys are going to enjoy that book. And I'm really excited about that project. So you guys look forward to that.
And the fact that you're sharing this information with us, I'm a New York Giant fan. So give
Oh, word.
Tell her Mr. Scribe gives her a shout out.
Okay. We'll do. Yes.
Somebody said they're gonna be reaching out to you, brother. So again, you might have made a connection tonight.
Okay.
You might have made somebody's gonna be reaching out to you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Cam has dropped some knowledge on us. We've talked about his journey. You have heard what he does. So that concludes this show. We're doing creatives during the month of August. Let me make sure I get this right, because the people in the background are watching, Cam. We are the Real Level Up, real talk that takes you higher. We're on every week, 3 to 5 Eastern, 2 o'clock Central, 12 o'clock Pacific time. Hope I got that right. Cam, we appreciate the time that you devoted to spend and share some time with us, to share. People already know who you are and the quality of your work. So it's just good to reconnect. It's been a long time. Looking forward to maybe collaborating with you somewhere down the road.
Yes.
Check it out. And thank you, Kelli. We make a dynamic team, Kelli. We've been doing this for a couple of weeks now, so we're trying to do our thing. So ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you. Again, Cam, thank you for stepping up and stepping out. And Kelli, I'll see you on the next go around on our next broadcast.
Thank you all. Thank you all for having me. I appreciate everything. This was great.
Take care, man. We'll see you guys.
Hi, I'm Pat Nash, and I want to speak to you a little bit about dreams, about hope, about maybe giving up or wondering why you haven't moved forward. Someone asked me, how did you get here to be a relationship coach? It actually came out of a need for myself and what I observed looking around after I asked myself a couple of questions. Why was I not doing the things that I wanted to do? Why had I gone through divorce? I realized I was not the only one. You see, there's a lot of us who stopped hoping, who stopped dreaming, who stopped chasing our dreams or going after our dreams because we don't have to chase anything. When we look internally and figure out what it is that's holding us back, the sky's the limit, and you don't have to chase anything. You attract it.
And let's have a moment of clarity. There's freedom in your transparency. When you speak, you release, that's therapy. It's my decision to listen and do it carefully. Wanna live carefree? Well, it's gonna start. When secrets are kept, families are torn apart. I wanna do my part to help heal your heart. Shed some light on your life when your days are dark. Help ignite a spark that'll bring change. Be your shelter from the rain, assist with
D on the radio. You know what time it is. Let's go.
Hello, everyone. This is Pat Nash of Pat Nash Talks, where we have the conversations that create real relationships. I'm here every single Sunday, 8 p.m. Central Time, 9 p.m. Eastern, and you can find us right here on Level Up Nation. See you then.